Morning guys, Tash coming at you. Thursday morning, started without you. Working on a little patch for this corner over here, which we didn't get to complete yesterday. So I've just done a little paper template, and we're going to cut that out in metal. We're going to also weld up. We've got a few welds to finish here on this side, just on this channel piece. We're going to weld that from the back side, and then we're going to call this done, and then we'll move on to the other side. Fortunately, I've got the next 2 days off on vacation. I had a presentation that was scheduled for Monday cancel on me, so that gave me the opportunity to take a couple more days off. So we're doing that, and again, it's another beautiful day. So lucked out as far as the weather is concerned. Anyway, we'll take full advantage of it and continue working on the 68 TR250. Okay, here's our take on the rear corner patch, and it's going to fit in something like this. Just fit it in here, something like that. And you can see that, and we'll weld it up here just on the corner and on the side, and that'll close in that gap. So that should look good once it's in there. So we'll go ahead, and I think what we're going to do is we're just going to leave that existing bit of floor there, and we're going to plug weld it directly on top of it. Not exactly stock, but it's a good little reinforcement for it as well. So we'll go ahead and do that. It's already been done in this corner, so we're just going to mimic what's going to be in this corner, only a little bit better. Okay, we're going to attempt to start working on the passenger side. Well, I've got this little piece just drying from being coated with primer. So all we're going to try to do this morning is cut this area out and see if we can detach that successfully. So we'll go ahead and try to cut that out and create a new flange for that. But once we get that out, we'll see how solid the metal is underneath. The only other area that I need to repair is here, and probably a slight little bit there, although that could probably just be filled with some seam sealer. It's just, or I might even actually hammer that metal in a little bit. Anyway, we'll find out when we get there, but we're going to start with cutting out this area here. Okay, so far it doesn't look too bad. We've cut that rear flange off, which was in pretty rough shape. And I've just cleaned up this front flange, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this back, and I'm going to rebuild this flange up before we create a new flange for that back piece. So we'll go ahead and cut this, make a new flange here, and then we'll bring it back. Okay, before I go ahead and fix this flange, I thought I would do a little bit of investigation over here in this corner to see how bad this was going to be. I stripped the seam sealer out with the heat gun, and here's what we're left with. So not looking so good either. So it looks like we're going to have to think about how we're going to repair this section, much like we did the other side. I might even actually go a little bit higher. I see some suspect work there. So anyway, we're going to get the grinder out, grind off the face of this, and reveal what's behind the epoxy, and then we'll come up with a plan. Yeah, I think we're going to do what we did on the other side, and we're just going to cut this whole section out and try to repair it off the car and then put it back in. So we'll go ahead and we'll work on cutting this piece out as carefully as we can, and we'll bring you back once that's done. Okay guys, there's what that looks like with the piece cut out. Looked very similar to what we did yesterday. Here's the piece, and it's looking a little less worse for wear than the pieces that came out yesterday. It's still obviously in bad need of replacement. So we're going to go about the same way of repairing this. We'll probably work on moving this flange all the way to the top. Sorry, I know the fan is kind of blowing on the microphone. It's probably creating some noise, so sorry about that. So we're going to move this flange up to here. We'll create a new flange here, move that flange up to here, create the face plate, and then we'll create the back plate. That's the plan anyway. Okay, just coming up to 12:15, and we're making fairly good progress. We've just working on the template for the front patch. You can see we've got the one flange tacked in, we've got the other flange tacked in. I've got another flange made for the inner here, which will go something like that over top when we're ready to finish this up. So that just leaves the one back plate to do. So anyway, we'll create this in metal, cut it out, and I think we'll take a break for lunch, and then we'll come back and we'll work on the rest of it. Okay, just about lunchtime, but I thought I'd show you that faceplate now, just sort of tacked in there. Again, we're going to make this removable, so I've only got it tacked once here on the top and bottom. And now we're going to, when we come back from lunch, we're going to make this part in behind here. So we'll do a template for it. We'll tack it to this side, and then we'll remove the piece and then weld it up fully, and then put the piece back in. And then we're going to be getting pretty close to being done on this. But anyway, let's go have some lunch, and we'll come back after. Alright guys, we pretty much got it welded in place now. The only thing I still need to do is add this top patch that goes here. But we'll do that after we've got to do a little grinding in here first so we can get that sitting flush, and we'll clamp it in there. And obviously we need to do a lot of grinding here, but we'll go ahead and grind a little bit, and then we'll affix this last plate, and then we'll call this one done. Oh, I got to do a little bit of work in behind there as well. But for the most part it's done. Beat my time yesterday. I think it's 3:30 at the moment, so we're making better time on this patch, that's for sure. Alright, we'll come back in a minute. Alright guys, just coming up to 10 to 6, and the passenger side reconstruction is now complete. I think it looks pretty good. Oh, that was about 16 hours total worth of work on these two corners, but something obviously that needed to be done, so happy that they're done. I've been poking around in the trunk a little bit while I was sitting here and scraping out seam sealer in the corners, so I've got some holes to fix there. I've also got this ugliness here in the corner that I was aware of before it went to blasting. I could see it sort of peeking through once we had it up on the trailer. And I've got a few other little areas. There's a hole here that, oops, good for the light. There's a hole here that I wasn't even aware of. It's kind of, I must have buzzed that with the angle grinder or something like that, because it's nicely sort of sheared off. And I got a hole back here in this corner here. So we're going to be spending some time in the trunk over the next day or two at least. And one of the other things I realized that I did was I need this structure back. This holds the back panel and the spare tire cover. Well, I cut it off when I repaired this side over here, so I've got to make a new one of those and weld it on over here before we get too much further. Also a hole there got to deal with, so lots of holes. Anyway, time for a break. We'll come back after dinner. Alright, it's 7:45, and we're just about to start another little project. We'll see what kind of trouble we can get into on this little area. So, just going to try to fix this corner up. Get rid of all the rot down there, or as much as we can. So I'm hoping the piece behind is not completely rusted out. That's going to be a troublesome piece to get to if I need to repair it. So anyway, I've got the chisel and the screwdriver out, and we're just going to sort of chip away and see what we come up with after we do a little bit of investigation. Well, the good news is that the metal in behind there is actually pretty solid, so just a little bit difficult area to access. Anyway, I think we should be able to create a patch for that area, so we'll work on that now. Not sure whether we'll be able to weld it in tonight, but I will definitely try to make a patch. It's kind of an odd shaped hole. That's the best I could do to cut it down there, so anyway, we'll see what we can do. Alright, we managed to get the patch tacked in there, and then the welder gave me a message and said it's time to go in. Ran out of wire. That's okay, I ran out of Dremel grinding discs as well, so I'm going to need to make a trip to the store tomorrow anyway. So anyway, we've got the patch tacked in. We will come back tomorrow and finish that up and grind that down nicely, or as nice as we can. I have a feeling that this trunk well is going to be done with, I don't know if I mentioned this already or not, but I think it's going to be done with Raptor liner up to the edge here, all the way straight across. Since this is going to have the spare tire and a bunch of tools and that kind of stuff, it'd probably be good to have a little bit of extra abrasion resistance. Plus it's also some heat resistance as well with the Raptor liner. So I think that's going to happen in the trunk. Obviously not stock, but there's quite a few things on this car that are far from stock anyway, so that little thing shouldn't bother me, nor should it bother you. Anyway, that's it for tonight, guys. We'll get back later tomorrow. We'll upload what we have, and we will start fresh tomorrow.